Making spacers today for the front and rear wheel so we can get that all set up. How do you measure if the chain will be aligned when you try to drill your holes for your engine mount? What you want to do is get your square, put it in the keyway of your engine shaft, and then press your ruler, a flat ruler, up against your sprocket so that it's even. Wait for it to stop shaking and look on the inside to see if it's straight. That will align your chain perfectly straight. Especially with these very custom built projects like this Razor scooter project, you got to do stuff like this to get perfect measurements when not a lot of things that you made were perfect. Razor scooter's all set up. It's got the chain on it, the tensioner, the clutch, everything's set up. I'm gonna start trying to, I'm gonna put all the finishing welds down, like for this motor plate, and support it in other ways, and then we'll paint it. So I just discovered that on the original Razor scooter, this was the brake lever, and there's a button in there that presses in, and I followed this, open that up, and I followed this, and I'm guessing this is what stops the motor when you press the brake, so that if you hold the throttle in, it's not gonna work. So I'm thinking we may be able to make some brake lights on the Razor scooter. Oh, that would be crazy. I'm gonna rig something up to see if this would actually work, and if so, boom. Alright, so I realized a couple things by rigging this little thing up is that when you depress it, we're gonna have to figure out a way that when it depresses it turns on, because when I set it all up, the light comes on. But that's a problem because we want it to come on when we press it like this.
I used a piece of exhaust tubing and thin steel to make a base to slide the air filter onto. Once I knew that was going to work, I drilled the hole studs in the intake hole. Then I cut some extra pieces to seal off the backside. The welding on this was difficult because of the thin metal, but I got it done. Stuffed the fat cooled intake on it and called it done. Next up is the exhaust we'll be putting on here, aka the straight pipe. I used the original muffler flange drill bit to make the hole wide enough to put my inch-wide tubing. I bent the tubing with my Harbor Freight bender and welded the tube to the flange. Make sure if you do this, you don't weld your stud holes and shove the pipe onto the flange to create a solid seal before you weld. Here's the finished product. Absolutely obnoxious.
Somehow I am going to make a throttle cable assembly so that this can pull back from one of these cables. See what happens. Alright, my idea is to put a bolt hole right here, make this about half the size it is now, put it at an angle, weld something horizontal coming off here, and have a nut and bolt set up so that the throttle cable can come here, go through there with a nut stopper, or like a throttle cable stopper, and it'll be able to pull. See what happens.
I used a tap to start a through hole in this bolt. I got lucky it was kind of centered. I then drilled a hole to fit my bolt through, in a thin metal sheet. I pieced it to the metal I showed you before and welded it where I thought it would work. I drilled a slightly larger hole in the bolt head to hold the throttle cable. Made the plate super tight when I installed it to the engine, and here she is. Now onto the funny part. I cut out some pieces of scrap metal I had to create a bracket on the scooter. I welded those parallel to each other and used the leftover scrap metal to make a mounting surface over the wheel. This looks sketchy, but surprisingly held well, and I could lift the entire back end by those welds. I put a brake light on the end and wired it to a brake lever with a proper switch in it. The wiring was a mess, but I cleaned it up. Here's a functional brake light. Also, I want to note that I added a return spring for the throttle setup.
Now it won't hit the exhaust. Gonna put spacers in there and call her done. Easy. We're testing out the Razor scooter. It's so sketchy, and the throttle's all like sketchy too, so that's weird.
Damn, so my oh shit, my note. You good? No. And then the second one. Philip, many thoughts about the universe mimicking our brain. The observable universe is expanding, and is theorized for the cranials. Felt like I was bathing in the moonlight. Interesting. You want to see something crazy?
We are literally the universe itself.
Yeah. Really, the universe expressing itself. Yeah.
We figured out that it's not something created by atoms. It is atoms. They are atoms.
Yeah, it has to be matter. From
It
your
has to be
logic.
matter,
From
yes.
your logic, it has to be matter.
But what matter is it?
Wait, okay, but here's the thing. How do we know our logic is logic?
Maybe you just go deeper than I do.
Oh, and then that was awareness. That's how we understood awareness.
Yeah. What did you mean by that? Because I couldn't
question.
understand you when you were talking about it.
That's a very good question.
I don't know. I don't remember that. Yo. This is dope. Maybe I should do like a little close up. Did you get this from me, Jimbo?
Yeah, Jimbo.
Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh.
It's beautiful. Not sponsored by Nutella. Alright, let's see if she starts up after all this time. It's been a while. It's probably been over a year. Oh, really? Already? That's insane. These are the guys that are probably getting it from me.